morning and welcome. My name is Inbaal and I am here live, also standing in for Laura. So I hope it's not too devastating for you to hear that Laura can't be joining us this morning. She will be here next week. So any questions that you've got for her, you've got to approach her directly or wait for a week. My name is Inbal. I'm a psychic, tarot reader, and witch, and I'm here on the Bigfoot Outlaw Network. I can see that our little logo is not up. Let me put our logo up. Yay, there we go. On the Bigfoot Outlaw Network. We're coming at you live right now on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitch. And in all of those places except for Instagram, I can see your messages as you type them. So you might watch and see that some messages come to screen and they're not under the YouTube channel that you're watching. They're probably under another YouTube channel. Here on my screen, I've got all the messages together, starting with Grizzly. Our boss and owner says, you can support me by sending stars. Stars help me earn money to make more content. So if you'd like to have your message read out on the screen, send it wherever you are, except for Instagram. I can see that I am live on Instagram right now, but I will not be able to connect to any of your messages because they just don't come to the same place on the platform. Today on Psychic Brunch, I wanted to talk about the manifesting, about the right manifesting that is correct for this season. We're in springtime. If you're watching in the Southern Hemisphere, just turn me upside down and everything I say, do the exact opposite. But if you're Northern Hemisphere, you will be going through springtime right now. In hotter countries, spring is already fully sprung and you're marching into summer. Here in the UK, we're doing our best, still struggling, doing our best to be a little bit more springy. And the time of spring is the time to manifest growth, the time to manifest extra things, to sort of bring more things in. Just like nature, during springtime, sprinkles new beginnings in the ground and things begin to grow. In the exact same sense, magic will also bring things that grow. For example, if you'd like, I'll start really, really simple. If you'd like to grow your garden, if you'd like sort of more things to grow in your green spaces, then now is a good time to do magic in the garden. What is magic in the garden? Just off the top of my head, once you've nurtured the soil, once you've watered, once you've given it sunshine, perhaps expressing very positive energy, hug your trees, talk to your trees, say wonderful nurturing things to them, and perhaps sort of bury a nice crystal for growth in the corner. That will help manifest growth in the real world sense in nature. Let's say that you're wanting to make a relationship grow, that you're wanting the love to grow in a relationship, then you might do that by using a blend of some oils for love and rubbing those oils on a candle, lighting the candle, maybe during the full moon, maybe during the waxing moon, anytime in the spring, because we're looking at the seasonal side of work. And that expands the energy and allows love to grow. What kind of oils you'd use for love? It's the sweet smelling oils that work really, really well for love. Rose, geranium, jasmine. I have a love oil product over there. I've only got 5 bottles left right now, so I'm not using that to demonstrate. But here I have some leftovers from when we were just sort of planning the oils. when we were just sort of putting them together. And so this is like a white label. There's none on it. And actually, I've been using this love oil, I don't know, for about 6 months. And at the same time, some of our prototype for the wealth oil, we're also sort of getting diminished. I was using them a lot. So I actually mix them together. So here I have a blend of the prototype love oil and the prototype wealth oil that we make ourselves. And I've been using this together. Using it together, love and wealth, has I believe helped my partner get a job. So if my house is sounding a little bit quieter, it's because he's not here right now. He's at the job. So that's kind of growth oils. What you would do for a love oil, what I would do for a love oil is use it on a pink candle. If I got a pink candle, where did I put it? This one is not like pinky pink, but it has got a bit of a pinkness to it. And it's got a pink label. So you would drip a little bit into the candle, not too much. Remember that oils are flammable, not too much, but certainly use it. At the moment, what I'm using this on, so about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, 2.5 years ago, I was visiting my best friend in Israel, and her husband does workshops teaching how to make candles. They're plain candles, they're unscented, but they're like shapes. And I just found the box of candles that we made with him, and I'm using them. So at first I was using them with a lot of fear. Because I thought, well, it's like a workshop candle. It's not a candle that sort of came out of a factory that has a lot of tests and stuff. I thought it's a candle that I made. It could burn down my entire house. So when I first lit the first candle, I was very, very trepidatious, very, very worried. It sort of lit, and it's got like quite a strong wick, and it was, it was like a funny shape. What was the first shape that I lit? I made these and didn't like them. They're owlies because I like owls. These will probably stay on the shelf. But at the moment I'm lighting a hedgehog shape, which you would be surprised is so useful, because the hedgehog spikes in the candle actually holds on to the oil really, really well. But I lit the first candle, stood back, I was kind of ready with, the pint of water in case anything happens. And it caught, like, it was a really long wick. I was like, all sorts of awful things can happen here. And I lit it, and it caught really beautifully, and then it burnt down nicer than any candle I know. And when my friend's husband was telling me that, when he was sort of putting the workshops together, he said, I went, even though it was expensive, I went for like the best wicks I could get, best wax I could get. Turns out 100% true. So at the moment, I'm using this oil blend on a plain candle, or numerous plain candles, and just sort of letting them burn, for say half a candle takes like an hour. I think that's enough magic. I do it every day. That's enough magic per day. Springtime is a time for growth. And one of the things that I think is the most common for growth spells are wealth. So this is our wealth oil blend, Inbaal's Apothecary wealth oil. And I use the wealth oil every day. I use it whether it's springtime or, or wintertime or any. But the wishes that you'd make for manifesting are a little bit different. So during a time of growth, during spring, or during the growth of the year, or even during the growth of the moon, you would wish, obviously, for money to grow, for finances to grow. When you're doing it during the peak of the year, so it could be maybe midsummer coming at you in only 6 weeks, 5 weeks. So let's say the peak of the year during midsummer, or even if you're doing it during the full moon, yeah, so the peak of the lunar month, what you'd wish is something that is like the most. So you might wish for contacts that you have to get in touch with you to make you a good offer, or you might wish for a specific goal that you've wanted for a long time. You might want to manifest that to happen, in actuality. And during the waning of the year, or even during the waning of the moon, you want to manifest shrinkage. So if we're looking at wealth, what you want to manifest is a reduction in expenses. For example, you want to manifest discounts, vouchers, offers, receiving things for free, winning competitions, um, maybe a little bit less, um, and a removal of any obstacles. And that is also correct for the waning moon. So this is really for after midsummer. And then obviously when we look at like the shortest days at the sort of bottom of the year, right? We had the top of the year, the very bottom of the year, or indeed during the dark moon, then you're wishing for things to vanish completely. So if you want to get rid of a house, for example, the dark moon is a great time to do magic to get rid of a house that you haven't been able to sell, for example. If you want to get rid of, I don't know, like an unflattering Wikipedia article and you can't seem to delete it, dark moon or midwinter. So in the springtime, you're going for growth. Those of you who are bodybuilders, for example, the spring is a great time to manifest physical growth. When I was young and foolish, I used to use the waning time of the year to manifest a reduction in my weight. I always sort of did it alongside an increase in my health. It was never just, please goddess, make me very, very thin, because that could go wrong in so many different ways. But for those of you who are seeking to increase your physical mass, if you're already working out, if you're already doing everything nice nutritionally, then an extra boost that you can have is manifest strength, manifest power during the springtime, during the waxing of the year and during the waxing of the moon. Now, in my experience, as you know, as a witch of many years and as a big fan of witcheries, in my experience, you can always find a good time to do whatever magic you want soon, soon enough. So, for example, at the moment, we are living through the waxing of the year. Each day is getting longer than the day before, but we're also now in the period of the waning moon. So the moon is smaller every day than the day before because we had the full moon a couple of days ago. So if at the moment you want to do some manifesting for growth, you harness it to the sun. If at the moment you want to do some manifesting for reduction, you harness that to the moon. That was a start. That was a start. Lots more coming up, but let me have a lovely look at the messages that have come in so far. So we've got Mark, who I'm guessing sent that before I even sort of went live, saying, good morning, Inbal and Laura. I hope that you're both okay. Hello, everyone else. Please remember to click like so you can find out when Inbal, Laura, and any from this channel are on. Thank you so much, and very, very good reminder. Remember that if you are a subscriber or if you would like to hear from us, put the like, engage with our content. It helps us stay on the air and it helps you be notified whenever we're on. And then we have Mark's devastation at no Laura. I know, very, very sad. And Mark is congratulating my dear husband for the new job. It can get people down when out of work. It can get people homeless when out of work. So yeah, he's very excited. Mark says, loving the Moors pic in the background. I love the Moors, can't go anymore, but it's nice to see the pics. I don't know that this is from here local, because it's actually Laura's picture, and she hasn't been up here in a long time. I think it's from somewhere where she is. It must be maybe view from the tour, or it's actually from the autumn. Let me take myself for a second so you can see the full picture. I'll be back in a jiffy. So I think where she is in Glastonbury, there's lots of hills, and this is actually like a frosty hill on a frosty morning. Very, very good picture. Right. So we're looking at different ways of manifesting in the springtime. We had a little look at oils. At the moment, as I said, we have the wealth oil. So this is available for sale. We have the love oil over there, also available for sale, but I'm not touching it because I've only got limited stocks. But we're also developing 2 new oils. We were trying to decide between 2 different options and could not decide because they're both great. So we put that to a poll. So at the moment, there's a poll on my Instagram story. There's a poll on my Instagram post. There's a mention of the poll on my Facebook. And the choice was going to be between a soothe oil that's meant to sort of calm you down, like ahead of exams, ahead of important interviews, if you need to take your driver's test, a soothe oil, and a power oil. And a power oil is more to sort of make you feel powerful, more confident in yourself, going to the gym, not be scared of anyone. The power oil is to help you shine, basically. And we couldn't decide which one, so we put up a few polls, and the polls are coming up pretty much 50-50. So we figured we're going to have to do both. The power oil is going to be quite a zingy, warm fragrance, something that will boost you up and remind you of your self-worth. And the soothe oil is going to be one that will also help you sleep, especially for those of you that struggle with sleep in the full moon. Full moon was a difficult time for sleep, and it'll be more lavenderish, patchouli, very comforting, very kind of relaxing oil, very calming. So that's what we've got coming up. But there are so many different ways to manifest. So you know that I'm a tarot person. I love the tarot, and I use a tarot for manifesting as well. If there's something that I'd like to draw, if there's something that I'd like to achieve, I will do it by keeping a specific tarot card either on an altar, those days when I had an altar, when I had fewer children, more altars, more children, fewer altars, or by the side of the bed, or very, very late at night, I light a little candle next to next to a next to a tarot card. Sorry, I got stuck between my words because I just saw this come in, and Mark says power, power, power. There can only be one Highlander. I can't vote, but I would say power if I'm honest, because it will help a lot of people with interviews, etc. Your vote has been noted. So I was saying it's been like 50-50 more or less, but the vote has been leaning a little bit towards power. We're going to do both. We're going to do both. We have no choice but to do both because everybody got so excited about the both options. But power is definitely happening. It must be a year. Can it be a year since we thought about the power one? We've been talking about it for a really long time. So yes, the power one is happening. It's all going to be sort of quite hypoallergenic. We're not using any like nut oils. We're using stuff that's sort of quite easy for everybody to use. And quite honestly, if you're not wanting to sort of buy a full product, we have like the ingredients, like the recipe right there on the outside, so you can blend your own. I think it's more economical to get like a ready blend, but we don't gatekeep. You can blend your own. It's 100% cool with us. So back to tarot magic. So I would manifest with tarot. Let's say if I wanted growth again in finance, because that's the card that I've got on top, a growth in finance, I would put the Ace of Coins, Ace of Discs, Ace of Pentacles. There's quite a few other good finance cards, such as got this one for buying a new home. So that'll be great if you're house hunting. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Discs, really good for money, really good for, we've got this one for success, the Six of Pentacles, and I'm also looking for a couple more. Each one has slightly different flavor, so it depends what it is exactly that you want to manifest. So we've got the Eight of Coins, Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Discs, and that one is exactly that, growth, because it shows a tree that's sort of growing coins. So that is kind of the exact manifestation of wanting to kind of invest and encourage growth. And one of my favorites, the 10 of Discs, the 10 of Coins, such a beautiful card. It's got the shape of the tree of life, and it's got the Archangel Raphael right in the middle. So if you're wanting to manifest better finances, then either going to sleep with one of those cards by your bedside, going to sleep with 5 of those cards by your bedside. You know, babe, I don't make the rules. You want to multiply, you go right ahead. So I would do something like that, or I would use the card, even in like a full ritual. I'll have my earth, air, fire, water. I'll have like my god and my goddess on my altar, and then I'll slap a card in front of them to encourage the energies. You can do either or you can just sort of put a card and a candle, and there you go. You've got your ritual. Now, I was showing you a big fancy candle, for example, but it doesn't have to be a big fancy candle. The majority of rituals that I do for me or for clients at home, I have this bag. Doesn't have Chanel inside. It has tea lights. I stocked up at Halloween on the black tea lights. Very, very useful. I have slight stock of orange tea lights, also from Halloween. That is for justice magic. I think justice is a very overlooked way of manifesting. And of course, the humble white tea light. White is a blank color in magic. It has its own meaning, but it can also take on the meaning of literally anything else. So it's like your Joker card. And I also have a box of those just in case it needs to be a little fancier. Now, since I've got that, I don't know if I've already used it for a demonstration. Actually, it's unscented, but it smells from the other candles. But just so that you know, when you drip oil on a candle for magic, you drip it from the middle and rub it up. No jokes. And then rub it down so that you've got the whole candle covered. I never, ever, ever, ever then roll it in herbs. I know that some people do. I know that you can buy it already oiled and rubbed in herbs. The reason I don't is because I do use candles quite a lot, and sometimes they are left alone for a second. I don't want to put flammable stuff on them and then regret it. So that's my own personal choice. If you like to light things with herbs and stuff, by all means. By all means. Mark goes, dang, that's a long time to discuss them, but I know you guys want to get it right. Exactly. It has to be perfection before sent out after tried and tested. I tell you, it still blows my mind how the wealth oil works because I work through like lots of different channels. I've got my private clients, I've got obviously the oils. I work through several different PRs, and I work directly with the press, and so when I start the morning, there's no way of knowing how much I will have earned by the time I go to sleep. I'm self-employed. And when I use the wealth oil, so I used it sort of pretty consistently. We launched it. It must have been December, because I remember that the first box arrived when I was leaving to go to a nativity. So so I started using it kind of fairly consistently, and a new PR client started working with me, and then I used it in January. January doubled my income to the previous January. And I thought, wow, that's really sort of crazy. It'll never happen again. Then it happened in February, March, and April. And around April, like in the school holidays, right, when the kids are off and I'm all around with them, I wasn't using the wealth oil as consistently. I also didn't wish to work all the time because I was running around with the children. It was the school holidays, it was Easter, and I didn't want to sort of then get home and be busy working for hours on end. So I wasn't using the wealth oil consistently. Income dipped down, started reusing it consistently, dip back up. So all the time that we spent on the wealth oil being exactly the way we wanted it was totally worth it, totally worked. So at the moment we're working on the power oil, and we've been working on the power oil for almost a year. Like, I literally remember leaving Amanda some messages about it when I was in Mallorca, which will be end of May 2024. That's the last time I was there. And now it's middle of May 2025. So I remember we were chatting about it then and sort of discussing what kind of approach we want for it, what kind of formula we want for it, whether we want for it to be two blending oils and two essential oils like the rest of the brand, or whether we want to go with a different number. So we're getting really to the nitty gritty. So the power oil already exists, just not in reality, but it already exists. It already has a formula, already has a name. Whereas the Soothe oil, we've only just started planning. But when I was saying to Amanda, so Amanda is obviously, she's the cosmetics formulator, she's the aromatherapist, I'm just the witch. So I was saying to her, I visualize it like this and like that. And she said a couple of ingredients, and I was saying to her, yeah, that's exactly the ingredients that I had in mind. So now that we've done like two oils in actuality together, one extra oil planned together, then we literally sort of speak the same language. Mark goes, you know me so well, I was going to send you a private text because my brain was laughing. Yeah, exactly. That was funny. So back to tarot magic. So we looked at a few tarot cards that would be fabulous for money magic. Let's look at the cards that would be great for love magic. And then I think let's touch on justice a little bit, because we looked at the orange candle, we'll touch on justice. So with love magic, there are two ways to go. First is the more passionate kind of cards that you'd use, right? What does this remind you of? The more passionate cards, the ones that are like red and, fiery, they are one type of love magic. Not my type of love magic, because I'm very wary of manifesting anything that is fiery. Why? First of all, because fire is dangerous. You don't want to get a message from the element of fire that will leave you, with a stain in your floor or something. But also because lighting up your energy in a very passionate way and then going about your day can attract the wrong kind of attention. My way would be more going for the emotional cards, the cards that have to do with compatibility. So, for example, if you're trying to manifest a gorgeous lady partner, I would go with the Empress. The Empress is very kind, very nurturing. Even if you're trying to manifest a gentleman partner, I would still go with a kind and nurturing. And I only say that because her counterpart, the Emperor, is a bit bossy. I'm trying to find the Emperor for you. It's a bit bossy. If I was manifesting love, I wouldn't manifest with the Emperor, who comes with a strong attitude and, more than a few father issues. So let me show you the Emperor, because he's very red and fiery again. I'm very wary of manifesting with the fire element. So that's one way to go when you're manifesting love with the tarot. I'm going to show you the other way in a second. I don't know why. Look, I've gone through all the cards and the Emperor's not there. There he is. He's been hiding because he doesn't want me to say awful things about it. So if you were to manifest a partner using this tarot card, the Emperor, who is sort of sitting so confidently, he's got a real powerful stance. That's the kind of partner you'd get, somebody who is always right. So not for me, but maybe for you, maybe you like it. I would go with either manifesting somebody really kind, really loving, really attentive, or I would go with one of the compatibility cards. So this is specifically the Thoth deck. It doesn't have to be this. Actually, let me show you good counterparts in the Rider-Waite deck as well. But in the Thoth deck, we've got the Lovers, right? So we've got two people standing under the blessing hands of a priest. Holding myself back from saying it is a lady and a gentleman, because it's important to understand the symbolism of the tarot is not necessarily male female specific, and this would work for any couple of any divergency at all, of course, because we're looking at the emotion of love. We're not looking at the specific, ingredients that it takes to put together a couple. But we've got two persons here under the blessing hands of a priest, which is really, really gorgeous, and that would manifest love. And here we've got the Ark card. Now, the Ark card in the Thoth deck is equivalent to Temperance, and it is a card of luck and compatibility, and it's two people who are different and they fit so well together. So that would be a great pair of cards, or even a great single card for manifesting compatibility. Now, I also wanted to show the Two of Cups in the Rider-Waite Smith deck, because that is, again, just a representation of a couple, which is really beautiful to see. I found another one that's good for love magic. I'm looking for the Two of Cups. Where are they? There they are. So the Two of Cups, we've got, again, a man and a woman in this specific deck, exchanging cups, that sort of sharing their emotions. So something like that is like ideal for manifesting love. And also the Ace of Cups is so lovely because it just sort of shows the emotion. So you'd be manifesting the emotion, the feelings of love. And again, from the Thoth, I quite like the Moon card for manifesting love, because it shows a long journey, and love can be a long journey. And it shows really romantic emotions because it's a Pisces card. Now, I'm going to flash a few more messages And then we're going to talk about justice magic. And I think you're going to love it. So make sure you stay tuned. Let's look at the messages here. Ooh. Mark says, that's good regarding the oils, then. It shows the amount of thought that goes into it rather than just throwing bits together and hoping it works. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. On the one hand, that is really a lot of thought that goes into what is eventually a very small niche product. On the other hand, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it well. And when I first had the idea for the oil, so that's coming up 2 and something years. So we launched the first one April of last year, and we started talking about it the April before. So we started planning it April 2023, more or less. And that was the love oil. And I approached Amanda, the aromatherapist. I had known her for about 20 years. And I said to her, you know, do you want to do it? Because I said, if I don't do it with you, I don't want to do it with anybody, because she's just so on the ball with that. So yeah, we wanted to do it perfect. Spawn says, good afternoon and blessings to you all. Good afternoon, Spawn. Great to see you. Mark says, wait. Mark says, good afternoon, Spawn. Hope you're okay. Spawn says, hello, Mark B. All good here. Thank you. And Mark says, very pointedly, I'm happy without love. Had enough of it over the years. So happy as a single person. Maybe I should have decided that years ago, but hey, we live and learn. Do you know what? It's so true. When we joke around, I say joke around, with my good man, and he says, you know, your next husband, the person you marry after I'm gone, is going to be like, yeah, I don't know, better at DIY or stuff. And I said to him, what makes you think I would even be looking for someone to marry after you've gone? Being alone is so much more predictable, straightforward, easy to manage. Mark says to Spawn, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Could be way worse, and have been so every day. It's kind of a blessing of its own. Thanks for asking. Mark says, even though I have these runic tarot, I still love my Thoth deck. You can use the energy of the tarot in whatever visual representation that you like. It doesn't have to be a specific deck. It doesn't have to be a specific aesthetic. The runic tarot will have a 2 of cups that will have the same energy as the 2 of cups that I just showed, even if it has sort of quite stark lines and looks like it's got different colors, because the tarot system is the tarot system. Spawn says, the Schumann resonance is going crazy lately. Energies are all over the place. It was just the full moon in Scorpio 3 days ago. So that was sort of pretty intense as well. Mark says, Eunice is such a cute couple, so I can't see it happening, if I'm honest. Oh, no, he means when he's gone, like he calls it when I have widowed myself. He worries that if I become a widow, it'll be because I did it. So let's have a little chit chat about justice magic. In magic, it's always a bad idea to curse. It's always a bad idea to wish anything negative on anybody. It's always a bad idea to even want bad things to happen, even if it's for bad people. However, and this is my big witchy hack, however, I always say, if somebody did something really, really, really bad and their karma is already sort of stacking up against them, you can wish for justice. If somebody wronged you in a financial kind of way and you do a justice spell, you don't do that spell even on them, you do justice for you. You want justice in your own life. We're allowed to do magic on ourselves, and we're certainly allowed to manifest something as as important and as neutral as justice, right? Justice is not an opinion. It's a good human equalizing force. So if somebody sort of wronged you financially and you happen to do a justice spell on yourself, and then you happen to win the exact amount that they lose, there's justice in that. And if it doesn't happen, so I keep leaning to show you the candle and I keep thinking about sort of different important points for it. If it doesn't happen exactly the way that you're hoping it would happen, then have faith. Faith is important. Have faith that things happen exactly the way they're supposed to happen. So not always the way you wish, but always the right way. So for justice, we use an orange candle. Gold also good, but orange easier to get. Again, pop into an important Swedish hardware brand and stock up at Halloween. They've got black, they've got orange, they've got purple, really good colors to have for tea lights. And they actually have like red year round, so that's good. Within the orange candle, I don't even know what oils would I use for justice. I would probably use something like frankincense. Frankincense is good for like all magic. It's very magical, it's very elevated. Again, it's kind of a joker card, just like the white candle is kind of a joker card, and you can use it for all sorts of magic. Frankincense, the same, it's got very like elevated energy. So that's the candle. And then next to it, you can go with any of these tarot cards. So we've got the High Priestess. The High Priestess is very psychic. She also knows all the rules of the universe. So if you invite her and you say, I would like justice, because some stuff happened, I don't want to, I don't want to talk bad behind people's backs, but I would like justice. She will know what you mean, what you're trying to get done. So that's important. Her counterpart in the tarot is the Hierophant. He's very intelligent. He's very established. He's very by the book. So if the justice that you need, especially, is around something like banks, universities, schools, local council, that card is very, very good. Another way to go about it is with Temperance. Temperance is balance. And so we can use it to redress the balance when we're looking at justice. And I don't want to call on this guy, but the devil card, the devil energies are very cheeky. So if your justice has to be kind of cheeky, if somebody's been kind of cheeky with you, then then that's the way it's got to go. So that was me talking a lot about all the different ways that we want to magic things in the springtime. That's some good spring magic, some good psychic brunch elements to chew on. Let me read the rest of your messages and then I'll carry on with my day and hope that you carry on with yours. So Spawn says, being single for over 15 years after a 30-year relationship, but all good, has given me time to find myself again. Relationship with yourself is the best, most important relationship you will ever have. Mark says, well, you do know back in the day witches used to sacrifice their partners, don't you? Yeah, I know, sounding a little like as saying that. If that's the tradition, then that's the tradition. It would not be on me to go and change a whole witchy tradition. Spawn says, I didn't know that. Glad I no longer live close to my ex then. How funny. Mark says to Spawn, mine's not anywhere near, but I realize stuff and I'm learning. That's why I'm happy as I am. So in my own way, I can relate to it. Yeah, you could write some books, Marcus. Mark says, important Swedish well-known brand. I have no idea what you mean. Not an iota. Walks away whistling, knowing me, knowing you by ABBA. Right. So thank you so much for spending this time with me, talking about springtime magic and enjoying all the messages that springtime has to offer. I'm going to be here next week, hopefully with Laura. Have an amazing week. See you then.